Chapter 15, Murder in Hot Chocolate. The university school was buzzing the next day. Miss Hussey was not there, and word had leaked to the papers that she had been arrested the night before as a suspect in the theft. Her class was out of control. It took the substitute half the morning to stop the accusations and shouting. A suspect? She never helped a criminal. How do you know? Maybe she was forced into it. Remember when her arm was hurt? She would have called the police right away. I know her. We all know her, dummy. What we don't know is what's going on. Somebody in this room must have called the police last night. No way. That rat is dead meat. Yeah, a memory. Even when they finally quieted down, the sixth graders glowered at one another suspiciously. There was clearly a traitor in their midst. The substitute handed out sheets of word problems to keep everyone busy. At lunchtime, Petra and Calder sat next to each other as usual. I'm worried that the letter I picked up in your garden was Miss Hussey's, from the thief. If it was, then she wouldn't have any proof that she'd been one of the three. And who would believe me if I said I found it and lost it again? Petra was pushing her grilled cheese back and forth across her plate. Before Calder could reply, Denise leaned over. Something the rest of us don't know about, Petra? Something you'd like to tell the police? No more secrets now. And hanging out in Calder's garden? Really? Petra moved away angrily, bumping Denise's elbow by mistake as she picked up her lunch tray. Denise lost control of her butterscotch pudding, and it slithered down her leg. Slipping on the pudding, she lost her balance and landed heavily on the substitute teacher, who was sitting nearby. Petra smiled. Other tables began to giggle, and Denise told the substitute that Petra had pushed her. Calder and a number of kids turned on Denise, and soon they were shouting. Denise turned crimson and yelled, I hate all of you! The class had to stay inside during recess as punishment for bad behavior. It was a horrible day. Hyde Park continued to make the papers. The Chicago Tribune had pictures of both Mrs. Sharp and Miss Hussey on the front page the next day, as well as the happy news that Miss Hussey had received the same letter as Mrs. Sharp. Miss Hussey was released. She made a statement about having been terrified, as was Mrs. Sharp, to do anything about the letter. Both women were given round-the-clock police protection. There were many questions. Why would a professional thief ask an old woman and a young schoolteacher to help him or her? Why hadn't the first letter been followed by another? And who had gotten the third? Then a reporter added to what Petra and Calder already knew. Louise Sharp was the widow of Leland Sharp, a Vermeer expert who had died in Amsterdam 31 years ago. He had written to his wife that he had made a breakthrough discovery about Vermeer's work and was then silenced before he could share it. The possibility of his death being connected to a discovery about Vermeer changed everything. Mrs. Sharp could be genuinely afraid. Petra and Calder admitted to each other that she just might be innocent, or at least partly innocent. Things with Mrs. Sharp were never simple.